Welcome to Fouts Boxing Theory. I'm the first coach in history to be able to figure out how all the punching power works, solving boxing one film study at a time. If you're looking to learn film study or learn how boxing works, check out the Fouts Boxing Academy. All the things that I talk about, the things that they do well, the things that they do poorly, we're going to be going over, and we teach on the Fouts Boxing Academy. Okay, there's over 60 members who are posting things, sending things in, learning boxing. You can learn along with them, yada, yada, yada. I'll talk more about that stuff later, but we have a massive emphasis today on taking a look at their training. And what we want to take a look at is what they're doing as we fight, how we train. Okay, so a few things we're going to be taking a look at. First off, Usyk with his kind of intense training, they call this like hit or whatever, whatever. This helps you become more fast and more snappy and make more decisions per minute. Okay, and Usyk on average has a very, very heavy emphasis on this type of training as well. He has a lot of goofing around it, we're going to call it as well, but we can see here a couple of those types of drills here, right? Movement, beat, beat, right? And chaining a lot of beats together, right? Very, very simple movements, but allowing him to kind of shift and move his body weight. Very, very valuable drill here. Again, very, very similar. Beat, 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 beat. Seeing how fast he can be. Very, very effective and valuable drill to be training. We're going to show a couple of things. Now, what I want you to pay attention to is in his shadow boxing, and this is going to be very, very, very important for the overall film study when we go over the entire fight, because we're going to be taking a look at a lot of the training stuff right now, and we're going to be going over how it affects the fight, okay? And we're going to be talking about things they need to be doing better for the rematch. But take a look at the rhythm and the pace that Usyk has to get into, jumping into these shots. We can see him kind of leaping, and he usually has to get into this rhythm, okay? Now take a look at this. Boom, leaping as he moves into this rear hand here. Very, very similar as he comes off the 1-1-2 in the fight. So very, very similar rhythm or timing. But a lot of this stuff, he doesn't really have an active guard. He doesn't have a pattern where he circles. Notice all of this stuff is going to be 1-1-2, or he's going to be on the line striking, okay? But he's not really applying any of this to the way that he moves around or he circles. Notice after this sequence here, boom, 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 right? Moves off the line a little bit. How does he get back on the line? Okay, right? Bouncing, bouncing. He's kind of playing around. We're going to take a look at some of the stuff when he makes these kinds of movements in the fight, and also how they affect the fight with Tyson Fury. This is not boxing. Okay, notice when he's not attacking, he's not moving his head. He doesn't have an active guard. He's not circling his opponent and utilizing an active guard. He's just kind of standing there, right back into the 1-1-2, into his striking. Okay, and then again, is he circling? Is he moving around? Where's the non-punching activity? Okay, now I do want to point out we do see him at the end of this, well, right? And he's going to be moving around here, but he doesn't really usually chain anything off of those type of movements. Okay, now a few things that we're going to take a look at. A little bit of the dancing and stuff helps him get good rhythm. Okay, big, big, big fan. Stretching, very, very important. However, it's these types of things that he does that are not boxing. Okay, Alexander Usyk is already fast. He's already pretty snappy. He's already in good shape. But he needs to continue adding layers of movement and things that are boxing to his workouts. Okay, I know that people think that he has great footwork and all this stuff, and you know having fast feet is different than having good footwork. Okay, and a lot of the stuff that Usyk does in his training is not really boxing related. Like taking a look at these movements here on these square drills, right? Or the ladder drills. These are not really boxing movements, okay? They're not really things that you're going to actually be doing in your fights or should be doing in your fights. So it's kind of just like, I don't want to say horsing around, but it's one of those things, if your training is paying off, you'll just be able to do things like this better, I'll say. But he should be focusing on more concise boxing movements, more concise other things, because again, some of the things that he does, when we'll see, all of his bouncing, 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 right? Because Usyk, again, is a very rhythmed fighter, right? Take a look at him trying to get into rhythm, right? With his little dancing, right? Just like his rhythm when he's fighting, right? Up, down, up, down. Okay, and then the same thing, jumping around on his feet in the ladder drills. But again, these kinds of drills should be replaced with actual boxing movements. There are enough very, very complex boxing movements and drills that he should be focusing on. Um, and again, this is fun. It's clever and interesting, but again, he should be focusing on boxing things, not horsing around. Lomachenko spends so much time doing what, you know, holding his breath in a pool, calling that training. Now, there's some value to it for sure, right? Real quick, where's his circling? Where's his boxing? Right? A lot of striking, a little bit of head movement. Okay, and again, we're going to take a look at a few other drills. Okay, now again, is he circling the bag? Is he moving around the bag? Is he stepping around the bag? It looks like he's just practicing striking. Now, right here, obviously, this is a drill, right? Very, very similar drill, just touching the bag as many times as he can. Very, very similar to the drill that he was doing earlier, where he was throwing the uppercuts, or he was just moving his head, right? Um, but these are conditioning type drills for speed. They're not going to be teaching you boxing, right? Again, I do think that so much of his training is not boxing focused, okay? Now we got a couple of other drills to look at, a couple of other things, okay? Moving around. I like the footwork, moving here. Again, when does he turn this stuff into boxing, right? His little normal stuff. Now this is when he starts shadow boxing, and it's very important that you pay attention to. Again, he's got this very rhythmed style, right? But notice he's not circling, he's not moving around, he's not setting his stuff up off of an active guard. He's just, once he gets on the line, practicing his striking, okay? Again, these are all very, very common patterns when you take a look at Usyk and the kinds of movements and attacks and things that he likes to do in the ring, okay? Again, not a lot of boxing here, not a lot of blending his ability to get on the line with his attacks, with his feinting, with his probing, with his actual active guard. It's all just striking here. Okay. Some more of that on the heavy bag. Okay. Now I want you to pay attention to rear hand, rear hand, rear hand. Notice he's not really chaining anything to this. He's just throwing the shot, letting it go, and then coming back to the position, getting into that same rhythm, touching the bag. Okay, we're going to see a lot of places where he gets to this position here. Okay, and one of the core moves that Alexander Usyk is missing is a way to fight out of this position on the front foot. He doesn't have a pull counter here. He doesn't really have a block, and then he comes into a hook. He also just doesn't throw hooks from here. He very rarely will throw a leaping shot or left right cross, but he'll usually just practice this left hand, this rear hand shot here, and leave the position, as we're going to see, which is evident in his actual fight with Tyson Fury. Okay, again, a little bit of that here too. Nothing wrong with that, but you got to learn how to fight off of these moves as well. Now, again, when we see him on the heavy bag, same thing. He's practicing some striking. How often do we see him throw these hooks? Okay. Now I want you to point out that these hooks that he's throwing are more wild. They're more rounded. He doesn't actually move his head when he throws them. That's one of the reasons why he doesn't actually throw these punches in his fights. Because if you're not moving your head, especially as a southpaw, you're going to be getting hit more often. Okay. There's a reason why Alexander Usyk has lasted undefeated against such stiff competition as long as he has. Okay. But again, no head movement there. It's very, very, very interesting that he doesn't move his head. And again, all of this is not really blending to any of his active guard. Notice he's still getting into a rhythm. He's still just on the line with the bag the whole time. He's not getting on the line and off the line. And all these things stop him from learning how to blend his striking with his movement and his circling. Okay. And again, we're going to talk about that a little bit, as that played such a huge, massive part in the fight. Okay. Now he's messing around, going right handed right here. So we're not going to put too much stock into that, but there is a level of what he's doing where that's just going to be how he does it. But is he blending any of his circling, any of his defense here, right? He's just on the line with the guy. Not great blocking, right? Again, this is very, very interesting because he's just touching him and throwing it at his forearms, right? Why is he touching him here? Why is he touching him there? Look at that big, huge hole there. Again, Usyk, he gets credit for having really good defense, but he doesn't really block punches very well. And again, we're going to talk about that as well. But again, all this is just striking training. Nothing wrong with that, as long as you understand that just because you're practicing your striking doesn't mean you're practicing your boxing. Again, check out the Fouts Boxing Academy. I'll teach you how to blend your striking, how to set your stuff up, how to get on the line, off the line, how to compete with your opponent in all three phases of combat. Okay. Now, again, Usyk better than Fury when he gets on the line. As we saw in the fight, he was the puncher. He was the guy hurting the other guy. But Tyson Fury did a much better job circling and moving around his opponent than um, KO Artist Sports. Thank you for the video. Um, than his opponent. Tyson Fury did a much better job. Oh, getting some strength, whatever, bullshit. Now, this is very interesting because Tyson Fury often is going to be moving around and circling when he's on the pads here and blending his movement with a lot of the things that he's doing, like moving in here, circling a little bit to the left, and finding a way to blend into those punches, right? Now, I do want to point out his opponent right now, or his mitt guy, is orthodox with him, which shouldn't be happening in the fight. He should be doing southpaw mitts with the guy. I think, okay, now he's southpaw here. Now, take a look at Usyk or Fury controlling with the lead hand, something that he did very, very effectively. Okay, moving, circling, throwing those punches and getting off the line, right? One of those things that he constantly is practicing. Again, take a look at his mitt style, right? He's moving around away, jabbing, controlling him, throwing 1-2s, very, very quick, bing, bing, right? Pop, pop, and then getting off the line. But again, one of the things that he's really doing very correctly is actually blending this stuff with his movement and his circling, not just being directly on the line, not just waiting for his coach to do the work. Now, check this out here, okay? Notice that in the fight, Tyson Fury took a lot of body shots. Notice he's not reacting to these punches very well. He's seeing these shots coming. He's not countering. He's just controlling space, just like he did against Alexander Usyk, right? But again, take a look at him circling and stopping and planting and then moving into these shots, but setting traps, right? Very, very, very important and valuable skill. And again, when we see him, how many times he took body shots, you'll see that that guy touching him to the body was actually pretty relevant, that he's not actually getting any work off of that. But again, overall, this is pretty good pad work, blending his active guard and his circling and moving around, even blending in, touching the ropes like that, which is illegal. Okay, again, we fight how we train. We're going to talk more about that as well. Usyk training here. So again, when we take a look at Usyk moving, right? Again, he's just practicing and leaping into these shots here. Again, he's not really boxing the bag here. He's making a lot of connections with it. Boom, getting a lot of weight into it. Jumping into these shots. Boom, boom. We're going to see him do that when he hurts Fury. But again, not getting on the line and off the line. Mostly just practicing his striking. And again, at some point, you have to put it all together. You have to practice all the phases of combat on every tool. And again, this doesn't look like Usyk is practicing that kind of stuff very consistently, right? Now, again, very interesting that he's throwing all these hooks here because he doesn't really throw these types of punches in the fights, right? I don't think he really finds enough space. Little head movement here, boom, boom, right? And then he has to get right back into rhythm in order to throw anything. With that little active guard that he has, he doesn't really fight off of it, right? Notice he gets it going a little bit, and then he has to break it. All right. Now again, this video here, bad circling, okay? He's not really going to be doing all that great of work. He's not changing positions. And again, his most common move, getting on the line, double jabs, right? Bop, 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 stepping there. Again, you can't really do this move here after throwing a shot here. Boom, roll to the front foot. That doesn't work. If you're throwing those shots at your opponent's going to be ready, especially if he's orthodox, to come back with his left hook right here, and you're going to be circling right into it. Again, bad circling here. He's not using his active guard. It's basically all 1-1-2s, right? Bop, and then penduluming into it. Again, he doesn't even throw these kinds of punches in his fights, which is very interesting. Okay, we got a couple of more training videos. I think we looked at this one already. Yeah, we did. Look at that. Get out of here. What are you doing? Usyk training here. And again, we have this shadowboxing video, right? Again, he doesn't really circle and move around, right? Stepping and pumping his jab, getting into his rhythm. Okay, but again, he's not really blending it with his boxing. Notice he took a break here. Is he leashing? Is he circling? Is he doing A, B, C, or D? No. And then he just gets back into his rhythm. When he's ready, okay, time to get into my rhythm. Pump the jabs. Is he moving his head? Is he catching punches? Is he blocking? Right? There are so many fundamental skills here that he's missing in his shadowboxing routine. He's just not practicing everything. Rear hand into rear hand. Why isn't it right, left, right? Why isn't it left, right, left? Now, again, we're going to see evidence of that training and that flawed idea there um, in his heavyweight fight as well. But check it out, right? Down, up, down, up, down, up. Doing most of the things to get his 2-foot punching going. But again, why isn't he just going 2-3-2-3-2? Right? There's no reason for him not to be chaining these together correctly. And again, doing this is actively making him a worse fighter. Okay? And again, where's the boxing? Where's the circling? Where's the moving around the ring? Right? So many of these circling skills, right, and these patterns of movement that he doesn't have. Again, if you want to learn all the patterns of movement, the best ways to practice them, check out the Fouts Boxing Academy. They're all there. Okay, over 60 members, yada yada yada. Teach you how to shadow box, hit the heavy bag, um, hit the double in bag, as well as a sparring community. Mm. And also, all the post-fight film studies go there immediately. Trying to get into rhythm, stomping his feet a little bit. Again, is he circling? Does he have an active guard? Right? All this stuff is just basically striking. He's not really blending any of it with his ability to be sneaky or hide or this or that. And again, all that stuff is going to be evident in his training. Okay, now this is where these two differ the most. This is Tyson Fury moving and walking and circling around and figuring out ways to blend, ways to control and feint and probe off of this movement. Right? Again, while Tyson Fury, I don't think he is as well trained and as um, the doing those kinds of drills like the uppercuts and then the head movement drill that he was doing, and then the conditioning. That's what I'm looking for. Tyson Fury is not as well conditioned, but he actually practices things that are boxing related. Right? Look at him moving around just like he was on the mitts, just like he was doing, right? Finding ways to again blend his circling. Right? He's circling, he's going this way, that way, bouncing, boom, boom, right? Jumping on the line, boom, 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 right? Chaining things together. Again, this was his biggest advantage. Okay. Now, Usyk's biggest advantage was that he was better on the line. Okay. He was better once he got there. He could throw harder punches, right? Okay. We're going to see some opportunities where Usyk was throwing shots like this. Again, when we get to the film study of the actual fight. But again, we fight how we train. Now, again, why is it that Usyk's not throwing these kinds of punches again when he's standing in front of Tyson Fury? Well, because Tyson Fury gets on the line and those big wide punches, boom, boom, right? He just got hit twice opening up for that. Pop, pop, right? Tyson Fury can very easily be moving and circling around and then just enter in with the 1-2 quick, boom, boom. Just like that. Just like this shot here. Pop, pop. You just never know when he's going to come in. So there's just not always time for those kinds of movements. All right. Now we're going to get into the film study and talk about what these guys did well, what these guys failed at. Okay. Now, again, Usyk getting on the line, getting into his rhythm right at the start of the round, immediately standing and stealing a body shot here. Again, but take a look at how he has to start bouncing and jump into this shot after baiting that jab from Tyson Fury. Okay. Now, again, Tyson Fury is going to be, or Usyk's going to be leaning to the front foot, trying to get into that rhythm. And as he gets into the rhythm, Tyson Fury steals a shot at him. But again, take a look at Usyk jumping onto the line with the right, left, right here, very, very, very quickly. Now, this is going to disappear for a long time. Boom, bop, bop, as he goes to the body here. But it's a very, very quick right from Usyk to get his body mechanics to throw the left hand. He's going to do that, and he's going to have that skill follow him late in the fight there, but not allowing Fury to throw a shot at him for free. Bop, bop. And now again, Usyk trying to counter. Boom, right? But Fury sussing it out a little bit and saying, hey, I'm pretty sure when I throw a jab right now, even though it's only 30 seconds in, you're going to try to follow me back and try to steal a shot. Okay, so Fury picking up on that very, very quickly. Now, again, we're going to go through most of the flow of the fight all the way till about the 10th or the 11th round. But again, controlling space here, right? And again, look at Usyk trying to bounce and jump up and down and get into a rhythm, right? Fury being able to break his rhythm there and stop him from being stop him from getting any momentum off of it and kind of make him restart. Okay, now this is very, very, very important because Fury has the ability to do that, again, like we saw in the training, while he's circling and moving, keeping the very, very obvious rhythm from Usyk off balance. Okay, and as we see him again bounce, 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 we know he's trying to get down there and force that lead hand out from Fury so he can maybe steal a body shot or eventually go over the top. But as we see, very, very interesting. Usyk goes to the front foot, back foot, right? And then has to come back to the front foot, but Fury's going to time that shot right there to kind of interact with him and prevent him from making it to the front foot and cutting the ring off from Fury. Okay, now this is also very, very interesting because there's going to be a lot of times where Fury is trying, or Usyk is trying not to get on the line with Fury, right? See how he has him here and he could be pinning him off by circling to the right? Well, he's going to circle to the left here, and this is one of those things that Usyk likes to do. He's going to try to let him out of the corner here. So he's going to try to take that small angle, but Fury's going to try to attack him, boom, and stop him from making that attack while he's cutting this angle out of the more dangerous zone. And I feel like Usyk is doing this a little bit on purpose to avoid getting into a straight up firefight with Fury by stepping around him, right? Changing angles and moving this way, forcing him to kind of make the first move or get the ring cut off. Now, he did wind up opening up with a very obvious punch here, right? But it was good timed. And again, Usyk has a very difficult time interacting with people who have good circling because he does all his work on the line, right? All of his shadow boxing is in a straight line or done with the 1-1-2. That he has a very difficult time actually blending anything off of anything other than that bouncing down, feinting low, this kind of rhythm jumping up and down. Again, he has to get into that rhythm because everything he does is on the line, right? He doesn't circle, he doesn't blend his movement. And again, trying to get to the front foot, and Fury looking to attack him and disrupt that movement, disrupt that rhythm, and not allow him to come forward. Now again, trying to peek around the other side. Take a look at Fury just keeping his lead hand out there, right? Allowing him to get into this rhythm. And take a look at him circling to the right here. Not allowing when they both try to circle to the left, right? Or rather, Usyk circling to his right and Fury circling to his left, they're going to meet up in a way that makes it very easy for Usyk to fight and steal that body shot. So Fury kind of moving off the line and starting to rhythm, giving him a little bit of control. Boom, boom. Now again, before Usyk can start stealing that shot, again, trying to time him. Okay, because again, Usyk is trying to follow this shot back, right? So trying to steal that shot and block that. And not allow Usyk to find free offense off of his punches. Again, getting to the front foot, cycling through his active guard, boom, stealing that jab and allowing him to kind of circle, right, and get off the line. Now, again, a difficult time setting his stuff up here, but look at what Usyk gets into this position. Fury tries to tie him up a little bit and eats this very, very hard shot here. Tyson Fury has a very difficult time after he throws a rear hand of defending his position here. He doesn't have a very, very key skill here, which is a front foot pull counter. Okay, this is also a skill that we've seen actually a few times that Usyk does not have either, right? As he's making it to this position here, he's not pulling, he's not coming back up. But when he makes it to the front foot here, boom, right now, he should be pull countering this jab as well. But he doesn't have a skill where he can get to the front foot and then fight and move into a deeper position one. Okay, these are skills that both of these very, very big men do not possess as a front foot pull counter. Now, again, if you guys want to learn more about that stuff, check out the Fouts Boxing Academy. I'll teach you guys how to do that, how to set it up off your probes, blah, 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 blah. I'll also teach you how to throw your best punch and how to make your best punch better. Okay, first coach in history to be able to teach anybody punching power every step of the way. Now, another very, very key thing that happened in this fight is Tyson Fury would often sometimes stay in a position and he would stop controlling and leashing, and it would allow him to find punches. This happened in a few different ways with Fury. One of those ways was he would just stop controlling space, or he would just leave his hand out there like this and allow Usyk to fight around it. Okay? Now, again, controlling space. Again, still the first round. And we see him starting to jump, bounce, and get in that rhythm. And again, Fury not feinting, not controlling. He's trying to use the lead hand out here and just stuff him, but it's not enough control. It's not enough to threaten Usyk and say, hey, I can't fight around that shot. So even though he's touching him here, Usyk's landing a very, very good shot right there because of the lack of an active guard from Fury. Now, again, getting into his active guard, feinting him, getting him to that front foot. And again, we can see Usyk not blocking that straight right hand from Fury, not pulling, countering it, not fighting off of that front foot position. Again, very, very limited fighter in that regard. And it's, again, once Fury realizes this and for the rematch, right? Again, he's not countering him here. There's no position. Again, one of those things that Usyk doesn't do. He doesn't throw hooks from this position. He doesn't fight out of that position. He just leaves that position after landing it. Again, after practicing so many rounds of just straight right hand or straight left hand from Usyk, he doesn't fight off of his front foot. He doesn't fight off that Usyk won't be able to interact with. We will be seeing other evidence from this later, but again, we have a lot of clips to go. So trying to get a little bit of control from Usyk, right? Usyk making it to the front foot, doesn't have any traps there, leaves the front foot position as he moves to the left side of the line, and doesn't bring his right arm with him, so not blocking punches very well. Now again, getting disrupted, right? Fury doing a decent job of controlling him. Now again, if Usyk is not getting in his rhythm and he's not bouncing up and down, it's very easy to control him, right, and attack him because he doesn't have that ability to bounce and jump into these shots. Again, making it to the front foot, getting feinted again. And again, Usyk having to bounce, and then jump into these shots. Again, making it very, very obvious because of the way that he always practices with his bouncing and his jumping. And again, getting on the line in these positions here. Now, a little bit of that, throwing these punches and throwing these like combinations, right? Something that's actually kind of unusual, right? But doing a decent job of, I don't want to say surprising him because he didn't land any punches, but taking advantage of the fact that he got him in the corner there. But that's one of the strategies that I actually think that Usyk needs to do a lot more of in the rematch to ensure that he can stay ahead enough on points when he does wind up getting into position. Now, again, look at Usyk bouncing, starting immediately, boom, feinting there, right? And immediately trying to go jab up and then come down and steal these shots. Boom. Again, not wasting any time. Again, the 5 seconds into the round and he's already scoring. This is a strategy that Usyk used throughout the fight in almost every round. Okay, now again, making it very obvious that he's bouncing, he's looking to make an attack, and Fury starts very, very obvious. Fury hoping to be lazy and just controlling his head here. And again, very, very interesting. After landing this first shot here, boom, coming off the line, and then re-anticipating another control from Fury, because that's what he's been doing, stealing yet another punch. Now, I just want to point out real quick, I know that everyone's real happy about this shot here, but when you think about where this punch lands, it lands in literally the most useless and worthless place on the body. There's no way that you're really, really bad about Fury or about Usyk, is his active guard is actually kind of worthless because he doesn't actually blend any punches off of it. When he starts moving his head, he just leaves the line, and it's very easy to push him off the line and Fury to find space. Boom, boom, to get out of the corner, steal a punch, and circle and get out of there. Okay? And again, Usyk doesn't really have an active guard where he can put pressure on a guy. Again, using a little bit of head movement, getting to the front foot, and again, trying to find a way onto Fury's line. Doing a decent job with the little jab to the body here. but really, again, jumping and bouncing and getting into that rhythm, that very, very obvious bounce, 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 tries to steal the shot. Even if he does land it, right, Fury's seeing it coming. It's very easy timing. But again, just want to point out, is he controlling space? Is he feinting? Is he probing? Right? Just kind of probing and holding it out there, but it's not really threatening Usyk's position, so it's not really stopping him from interacting with him. Now again, bouncing. Fury at this point starts catching him with this little hook here, right, which is able to disrupt a little bit of what Usyk is trying to do. Okay, and that comes at a very, very pivotal time in his pendulum as he starts bouncing and trying to get on the line. Now again, Fury's going to start realizing, oh, here comes the bouncing, and start disrupting him on that downbeat so that he can't get into a position to launch himself into the two. Okay, and again, Fury starts getting better and better at that, at seeing Usyk trying to get on the line and disrupting him. Okay, now again, Fury's ability to circle and do this stuff better than Usyk, because Usyk has to use these very obvious timings. Now, real quick, after he throws this rear hand, look at Usyk have to be forced to pendulum into this right cross here. This is very interesting because of the fact that Usyk doesn't practice fighting off of his own rear hand punch. He winds up doing this little pendulum thing quite often, and Fury didn't really capitalize on it or take too much advantage of it. He doesn't have a front foot pull counter, a massive core skill that Usyk is missing. Um, it's just a big hole for Fury to maybe take advantage of. Now, again, as he gets in the rhythm, controls him, control, times it with the body shot here. And then again, he's able to use his circling and blend, controlling Usyk into some successful sequences. Okay. Now, again, doing an excellent job. And again, what I talked about, when his coach normally throws the mid at him and makes him block, he just smacks him in the elbow, setting punches up, as Usyk has to get in this rhythm, this bouncing, bouncing, bouncing stuff that makes it very obvious. Now, this is one of the very, very few times he gets to the line and throws one of these shots. Again, no head move compromise his guard actually is, as he doesn't really cycle through it or have good positions, right? Getting baited into throwing this shot from here. Again, boom, bouncing into this shot here, making it very obvious, getting countered with a great body shot. And again, as the fight goes on, I think we're almost in the... This was a little clip from the Discord. Third round, immediately coming out and start bouncing and attacking the shots. Again, immediately trying to score and put pressure on Tyson Fury. And again, with the bouncing, with the very obvious. And again, he slips to the front foot, and Fury knows that there's no attacks coming, right? So he controls some space and tries to push Usyk off the line. Good head movement here. And again, escaping out the corner for free because he's able to use his active guard. Now, again, excellent shot from Fury as he's circling a little trap right around the guard from Usyk, because again, Usyk does not know how to block punches. All right. Now, that is not the most common move from Fury. He doesn't always do that move. But again, look at him taking advantage of this bad head movement here. Again, he tries to get into it, giving him a couple punches, right? Now, again, because he's missing this core skill of making it to the front foot and being able to fight from this position by throwing right crosses, right hooks, or pull counters, once he gets attacked, he has to move to the back foot and he has to give up all his space, right? He's not able to continue chaining things together. And look at Fury finding a way. Oh, I threw the 1-1-2 last time. So boom, I threw the 1. And again, Usyk moves back into that position where when the jab comes, he just slips straight back, doesn't bring his right hand with him. Boom, gets smacked right into this position. Again, so many fundamental flaws because of the fact that Usyk doesn't shadow box and move around and do all those things in his shadow boxing. Again, we fight how we train. He has one move. One move. He's literally the Derek Zoolander of boxing, right? That's all he's got is a 1-1-2, right? 1-1-2. Very, very similar timing, stealing the body shot, not following up out of it. Again, Fury doing this thing where he allows Usyk to get on his line. And this is one of those tells from Fury where if he doesn't do anything when Usyk approaches the line, he just gets here, right here, right here. Usyk knows he's going to be able to just start jumping onto his line. Without that control, and he's a bum. And he has bad guard. Again, and it is a very bad guard, right? Again, beginning of the round, what happens? Usyk immediately starts jumping on the line. One of the few times that he does follow up and continue following up on Fury, because Fury will just extend his arm and just do nothing with it. Okay? But look at him pendulum onto his line and do nothing with that. Very, very dangerous, right? If Fury was a better counterpuncher, he'd be taking advantage of it. Now again, trying to get into his little bounce, bop, right? Just moves to the front foot. He doesn't have any rhythm, and that allows Tyson Fury to just walk onto his line and hit him with a shot. Follow up. Again, because Fury is so much better at circling and moving and chaining things together to his circling and moving. Okay, trying to get into his rhythm. Usyk getting timed as he tries to move to the front foot, but again, he tries to get into the rhythm. Tries to pendulum here, gets interrupted, boom, boom, and eats a free body shot. Again, so much of the things that Usyk does come off of that timing. It makes it very, very difficult for him to surprise Tyson Fury, right? Who are in the fourth round. And Tyson Fury doing a decent job of just walking, right? Again, he makes it to this position. Why isn't he blocking? Why isn't he pulling this shot? Why isn't he countering? Again, Usyk does not have the ability to do that because he does not do that in his shadow boxing. Okay, he does not do those things. So it makes it very, very difficult for him to fight in that core position, right? Again, penduluming and getting stuck in this position, right? Why is he throwing this shot here? Boom. Penduluming and being forced into this position. Again, Fury, I think, did find a good home for that timing, right? Timing the pendulums from Usyk. Again, because Usyk is so obvious in those moves. Now, again, no lead hand control from Fury. He's trying to rest. He's trying to move away, touching his head, trying to get some extra space, right? And that just tells Usyk, okay, just time to jump on his line and throw bombs, right? He's tired. He's not doing anything. And then again, that's his time to start jumping on his line and give him some of this, right? Pop, 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 pop. Look at how slow he is, though. Okay, and again, he was about to touch the ropes right there. No control, just allowing him onto his line and pepper him with punches for free for no reason. Again, a bad strategy. And again, if he removes that strategy from his active guard into what he's doing, boom, getting timed here again, not getting hit, but getting disrupted long enough to allow him to not get hit by that very, very obvious and easy timing. Okay, here we go into round 5, and we still got a lot of clips to go, guys. A ton of clips. Okay, his rhythm and finding a way out of the corner here. Again, he doesn't know if that right hook or that left hook is coming from Fury here, so he has to check the line. And now he lets him out of the line, lets him control him with the hook, and Usyk does not really feel comfortable. Where's the control from Fury, right? Again, when he doesn't want to interact, he just allows Usyk to get there. Finally, a little bit of a counter, but check this out. Boom, boom, pull, boom. One of the few pull counters that he does from the back foot. But again, a little bit better on the line than Fury, right? Once the sequences continue going like that, but Fury's so much better on first contact with sequences like that and like this. Because again, Usyk does not move around the line very well. He does not circle very well. He does not do all those things. Decent shot here. Control, jab, right? So he's going to control him, boom, and then Usyk's going to try to shoot that jab at him and follow him back, finding a decent timing off of that leash because, again, Fury was doing so good. So a little bit of an adjustment here from Fury, but again, Fury's still finding that timing. He hits him here low, but it's only low in relation to the trunks. I don't think it's low in actual relation to the belly button. Usyk's trunks are just high, okay? Boom. Again, coming forward, getting smacked because he's trying to do the same timing. He doesn't really have very many creative openings. Boom, boom. And again, same timing. Again, Fury has so many more opportunities, I believe, to improve. Not very good at blocking punches. Getting smacked right around the guard here for no reason. Again, all the evidence here is in terms of like what I think is the actual skill advantage. Boom. Now again, coming forward with the bouncing, trying to jab, pendulum, getting timed, uppercutted. But again, Fury being the bigger, taller opponent, have a little bit of an advantage over him. But I do want to say here, check this out, okay? When Usyk is not putting the pressure on, he's not feinting, he's not probing, he's not the one controlling his opponent, okay? He does that thing where he doesn't have anything to do on the line, but look at his circling. Look at how bad it is. He's not really changing positions. Look at how bad this position is. We've seen him get hit in this position multiple times. He's just penduluming and moving to the right. He tries to move to the front foot, but again, he doesn't have any traps here, so he just eats a body shot here. Again, eats another shot, and then another shot. Again, Usyk's circling is very poor when he's not the one bouncing and feinting and controlling his opponent. Or just being straight up the bigger opponent, the bigger guy, because Usyk does punch hard, right? He doesn't have the best punching technique, but we can see him using 2-foot punching skills by bouncing and bouncing and bouncing in these shots, right? Now, again, bouncing, all these very, very obvious timings there, having a very difficult time. Again, beautiful, beautiful shot there. Controlling him. Starts giving the control, tries to move into this shot, and again, Tyson Fury smacking him with the left hook there. Pattern, and we've got Usyk, jab, pendulum, countered, right? Penduluming onto his line, and again, very, very seldom, right? Circling, the trap for the rear hand coming, and again, Usyk getting hit by this trap over and over and over again because he doesn't actually have good circling. Now, Usyk getting hit with the shot, boom. Fury not moving his head, doesn't have the best post-punch defense in position 1, gets controlled by a right-left, okay? Now, the first punch just lines up very well for Usyk, and it just gets him into position to land this rear hand. It's not the first punch that's doing anything, except for lining up here. Now, makes it to the front foot position, throws the rear hand. Fury stays on the line, boom, and gets under that counter from Usyk this time. Oh, and then the crazy follow-up from him this time. Knocks his head back. Pretty good shots from Usyk there. And his own line. It wound up getting him into more trouble. I think this fight has the potential to be one of the most important fights of the decade. The other two fights were the other three fights: Canelo versus Bivol, Crawford versus Spence, and Haney versus Garcia. Okay, all of those fights played pivotal roles in pound for pound rankings, in pound for pound status, and everyone's perception of who the greatest fighters of our era are. Now, if Tyson Fury loses this fight and gets knocked out, he's not going to go down as one of the greatest heavyweights. He's not. But if he winds up winning and beating Usyk and forcing a third fight and then winning that, he will go down very likely as the greatest heavyweight ever. And this fight means a lot. Because it might make him more obscure if he loses. Anyway, my voice is going. I gotta go, guys. I'm gonna pick Tyson Fury. I don't think Usyk is gonna be able to knock him out. I think that if Fury does a good job, he'll be able to isolate Usyk from his front foot position, control him, and keep him off of his pendulum. I think that because Usyk trains in a way that he does such little actual boxing, and he only practices his striking and his 1-1-2s, he's going to have the hardest time bridging the gap between his skill